What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Sunday, February 25th, 2024, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 15:29 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Ukraine and other parts of the world. So, Ukraine's head of military intelligence, Kirilo Budanov, is warning Russian civilians not to use the Crimean Bridge. He put out a video statement today. So, that could mean that Ukraine is planning to launch some type of massive attack on the Crimean Bridge. Now, last night, the Crimean Bridge was shut down, and there's still a traffic jam going over the bridge. And we currently have two U.S. nuclear war command and control planes up in the air. We have two Boeing E-6B Mercuries. One is over Arkansas and one is over northeastern Oklahoma. The one over Arkansas was out in the Gulf doing loops for a while, which means that it was dropping its trailing wire antenna and communicating with our nuclear-armed submarines. These planes can also remotely launch all of our Minuteman III ICBMs. We also have some breaking news that apparently Crimea and Melitopol are currently under Ukrainian missile and rocket attack, and that Belgorod, a city in Russia on the border with Ukraine, is currently under a drone attack. Okay, so yesterday was the 2-year anniversary of the war in Ukraine, and not much happened yesterday. There was a Russian missile attack on a train station in Kostiantynivka, and then there was also a Russian missile attack on Kropyvnytsky this morning, okay? But it looks like now things are starting to pick up. We have the head of Ukraine's military intelligence warning Russian civilians not to use the Crimean Bridge. Okay, that is very serious. We have two nuclear war command and control planes in the air right now. Crimea and Melitopol are currently under Ukrainian missile and rocket attack, and Belgorod is under drone attack. Now, we also had some information come out this morning that apparently Russian forces are on the move from Crimea, according to various sources in Russia and Ukraine. Okay, apparently a massive amount of Russian forces moved north out of Crimea and were heading west towards Kherson and northeast towards Zaporizhia. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. We also had some massive cyber attacks in Denmark and in Canada over the weekend. And Zelensky gave a lengthy press conference today with a lot of nuggets of information, which I'm going to share with you later on in the video. And the New York Times reported that the CIA set up 12 secret bases in Ukraine starting as far back as 2016. So let me just show you guys this video of Kirilo Budanov warning Russian civilians not to use the Crimean Bridge. This just came out today. This is fresh, okay? So this is the video where Budanov warns Russian civilians not to use the Crimean Bridge in 2024, saying that there's going to be a lot of surprises, okay? So this could escalate the whole situation if Ukraine destroys the Crimean Bridge. We know that Putin spent billions of dollars to build that bridge. So it looks like Ukraine is going to go for the jugular. And here we have a current satellite map showing the Crimean Bridge. This is coming from Google Maps, and you can see there is a traffic jam right at the entrance to the Crimean Bridge from the Russian side. Okay, looks like it's backed up probably 2-3 miles. So either the bridge is completely closed or they're slowing down traffic to check people. I have no idea, but there is a traffic jam on the Crimean Bridge. Here we have some pictures that were circulating on Telegram showing the movements of Russian forces out of Crimea late last night. You can see some of them went towards Kherson, and then some of them went through Henichesk and went northeast towards Melitopol. So we could see some type of Russian offensive today or tomorrow in these areas. We'll have to wait and see. And here's another picture that was circulating on Telegram showing the movements of Russian forces late last night. And the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, wants the Israeli War Cabinet to approve Israel's Rafah operation tonight. That gets us a real distance towards the completion of our victory, and that we're not going to give it up. So the Israeli War Cabinet always meets on Sundays, and he wants them to approve the Rafah operation tonight. And the Israeli Minister of Defense, Yoav Gallant, stated today that even if a hostage deal is reached with Hamas in the Gaza Strip, they will continue to intensify their combat operations against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. And Navalny's mother said that Russian authorities are demanding that Navalny's body be buried in a pre-arranged plot with a secret ceremony on the outskirts of Moscow. And the head of Ukraine's military intelligence, Kirill Budanov, said Navalny died from a blood clot. Here's an actual video of him being questioned about what caused Navalny's death, and I'll just play the video for you. He says, well, it may disappoint you, but what we do know is that he threw a clot. So very interesting. I don't know if the Russian authorities somehow poisoned Navalny and forced him to have a clot, but very interesting. And this update was sponsored by Patriot Supply. Guys, Patriot Supply is doing a discount on their 1-month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you got to go to preparewithnyprepper.com, and the link is in the description below this video. This is a 1-month freeze-dried food supply. It has a 25-year shelf life. Normal price is $237. They've dropped it down to $177. So that's a savings of $60. And it's all packed within 2 rugged, water-resistant buckets. Free shipping is included. $177 for 1 month of food. Where are you going to find a deal like that? They also have a general store, and they're always running discounts in their general store on various prepping and survival items. They have everything from MREs, potassium iodide, to survival seeds. And to get to their general store, you got to click on the Patriot Supply logo at the top of the page when you get to preparewithnyprepper.com. And you'll see when you get there, they have everything you can imagine. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get $60 off the Patriot Supply 1-month emergency food supply. That's $180 for 1 month of food, free shipping included. The link is in the description below this video. And also check out their general store. They have everything you can imagine prepping and survival related, and they're always running various discounts there. And the Azerbaijani Ministry of Defense reported that their army was shelled from the territory of Armenia. The report comes after an earlier one, which detailed a similar attack in the Kelbajar region of Azerbaijan. Yesterday, the Azerbaijani defense minister held an emergency meeting, and the Azerbaijani army has been brought to a high level of readiness. I reported on this last night. We had massive cyber attacks in Denmark on several airports, municipalities, and transport companies. Copenhagen Airport, Thisted Airport, and the Thisted Municipality, and Bornholm Airports all have their websites down, and the Danish Transportation Agency has their website down, and also the large transport company Movia also has their website down, and the pro-Russian hacker group No Name 057 has taken responsibility on Telegram According to IT security expert John Kostrup, No Name 057 is a pro-Russian hacker group that has been behind many attacks against Danish websites last year, including pages belonging to ministries and banks. All right, so more cyber attacks, guys, and also the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the Mounties, were hacked last week. Canada's National Police Force was hit with a cyber attack Friday that was of an alarming magnitude, according to the agency. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police is now launching a criminal investigation into what happened and how their systems were able to be breached, the agency said in a statement to ABC News. While a breach of this magnitude is alarming, the quick work and mitigation strategies put in place demonstrates the significant steps the RCMP has taken to detect and prevent these types of threats, according to a statement. So at least the Canadians are admitting that they were hacked. Here in the US, our government was trying to deny it. First, they said that, oh, it was the solar flares. And then the NOAA came out and said that's not possible. And so now they're changing their story and saying that it was an IT issue, that they were upgrading servers and it caused all the major cell companies to lose reception, which is just a total lie. And we have reports that Ukraine is going to be receiving 61 F-16s in June. And Vladimir Putin said over the weekend that Crimea and Sevastopol are an integral part of Russia, okay, meaning that they are part of the Russian nuclear umbrella. And I want to just read to you some information from the New York Times about these secret CIA bases that have been in Ukraine since 2016. The New York Times has reported that the United States has deployed 12 secret bases in Ukraine over the past 8 years, turning it into a crucial intelligence bridgehead to fight Russia. The country reportedly set up information interception posts and trained spies to operate in Russia, Europe, Cuba, and other places where the Russian Federation has a large presence. And this cooperation has expanded in recent years, with Ukraine intercepting more information in Russia than the CIA cell. In 2016, the CIA began creating Unit 2245, tasked with capturing Russian drones and communications equipment to then hack into Russian encryption systems. After the war began, CIA bases became centers for tracking Russian spy satellites and intercepting conversations. According to the New York Times, American interference may have been a factor in pushing Putin's decision to launch an invasion of Ukraine. At the end of 2021, Putin was considering whether to launch a full-scale invasion. He met with the head of Russia's main spy services, who told him that the CIA, together with British intelligence MI6, controlled Ukraine and turned it into a staging ground for operations against Moscow. So very, very interesting, guys. And it doesn't surprise me. At least one strong kaboom was reported in the town of Jankoy in the northern part of Crimea after air raid sirens were activated in Sevastopol and certain parts of Crimea earlier today. Also, there were reports of launches of Storm Shadow and Scalp cruise missiles from Ukrainian Sukhoi 24s. And Oleksandr Kamyshin, the Minister of Strategic Industries of Ukraine, said, "We have a weapon that can hit a target 700 kilometers away." Okay, so Ukraine is building their long-range drone capabilities. And I want to just update you guys on the situation with Zaporizhia. Last night I reported that there were several kabooms heard over the past few days right outside of the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. That's the largest nuclear power plant in Europe. It has 6 nuclear reactors. There was apparently a mine that was detonated right outside of the perimeter, and also the ZNPP has lost its main backup power line. Basically, all of its backup power is gone now. They had several backup power lines, and they're all shut down now. So it's just running off of one 750 kilovolt main power line, and then they just have one diesel generator as a backup. Okay, so let's pray and ask God to protect the world and Ukraine from any kind of nuclear disaster. Okay, so I want to just show you guys the current radiation situation. You can see here all these green dots mean that basically we have normal levels of radiation across Europe. Across the United States, there aren't any unusual spikes to be reported anywhere, even in South America, so that's good. And then here we have a map of Ukraine, and you can see no unusual spikes, even in the Zaporizhia region. So that's a good sign. And I want to just update you on Zelensky's press conference. He said that plans for Kyiv's long-awaited counteroffensive last year had been leaked to Russia ahead of time. He also said that Ukraine's military reserves were not properly trained and that during the preparation of the counteroffensive, 4 brigades were unable to fight because they did not receive the promised equipment. He also said 31,000 Ukrainian troops have been killed so far during the war, which I think is extremely low. I mean, I think Ukraine lost at least 100 or 200,000, and same thing with Russia. He also said that whether Ukraine will be invited to join NATO during the Washington, D.C. NATO summit in July depends mostly on Germany and the U.S. He said, I don't want to mince words here. As of today, with due respect to all partners, the invitation depends on the United States of America and on Germany. That's a fact. Wow. He also said the Russian public reaction to the death of opposition leader Alexei Navalny in a Russian detention center was largely missing. He also said Putin will remain in power until at least 2030. So very interesting nuggets of info. He claims that the plans for the counteroffensive were leaked out to Russia. He said that the reserves were not properly trained and that 4 brigades were unable to fight because they didn't have equipment. He said only 31,000 Ukrainian troops have been killed, which I think is very low. He said the U.S. and Germany are the primary deciders of whether or not Ukraine is going to be in NATO. And he said Putin is going to remain in power until at least 2030. And the national exercise Dragon 24 of the Polish armed forces, with the participation of the armed forces of other countries in NATO, has begun today, according to the General Staff of the Polish Army. It was noted that the military capability of NATO countries is important for effective cooperation and achieving common goals. And the Belarusian KGB is now accusing Poland of reorganizing its troops towards Belarus, basically massing their forces towards Belarus. So that could be a hint that Belarus and Russia may try to invade Poland. And Lukashenko said that Russia and Belarus will become one country eventually. And the Polish foreign minister said, if Vladimir Putin really threatens us, we are ready to double our defense spending. We will never be a Russian colony again. Strong words there from the Polish foreign minister. And the president of Belarus, Lukashenko, also said that he plans to run for re-election in 2025, and he's been in power since 1994, which is insane. And here we have a picture of one of the airstrikes last night by U.S. and coalition forces in western Yemen. You can see this massive fireball here, and it looks like they hit some kind of weapons depot here, because you can see there's a huge fire burning after the airstrike, and there's like multiple smaller explosions, almost like ammunition is cooking off. So 18 airstrikes last night. And here we have a video of Alexei Navalny's mother talking about the whole situation with her receiving the body and the funeral arrangements and everything else. But the Russian authorities are basically forcing her to have a low-key funeral on the outskirts of Moscow, which is extremely suspicious, okay? Very, very suspicious. And here we have the flight path of some kind of Chinese reconnaissance drone that was flying parallel to the Taiwan coast in the Taiwan Strait last night. So more Chinese military activity near Taiwan. This is very concerning, guys. Obviously, China is trying to gather information on the deployment of Taiwan's forces. And here we have some video footage that came out of Poland. This was last night, a bunch of military equipment making their way into Ukraine. Check that out, guys. Looks like a bunch of infantry fighting vehicles there. Okay, so Ukraine is still getting equipment from NATO allies. And then here we have some video footage coming out of Brazil today. You have what appears to be millions of Brazilians protesting, marching against the current president Lula because of his communist stances and his support for Hamas and his anti-Semitic stances. Look at all these people, guys. This is absolutely insane. But that's the latest information that I have. I will be back later on tonight with more breaking news. I'm certainly going to be monitoring the situation in Ukraine, the Crimean Bridge, the 2-year anniversary. If anything serious happens, I will go live. So get prepared, guys. Things are going to get crazy in the coming weeks and months. But until later on, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.